Hello everyone, welcome back into another episode of Matt Sports Talk, and in this video we are we are recapping all the women's games from yesterday, and there was a lot to talk about yesterday, and I mentioned that, and I'm still going to be recording a video tomorrow going over the updated RPI rankings, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. And I know I mentioned that I would not be recording these recap videos until tomorrow, but there were massive upsets yesterday, and one massive upset in particular actually two massive upsets, so that's why I wanted to record these videos today and go over that. And it seems like, I know I say that I'm going to record, these recap videos on Mondays, but as super deep and competitive as the Crossroads League is, it just seems like, I have to keep recording these videos on Sunday afternoons just because of, again, how super competitive and how deep the Crossroads is. And we have just seen massive upsets pretty much every single game in terms of a Crossroads League women's basketball action. So without further ado, let's dive into that. The first matchup takes us to Mishawaka, where Bethel hosted Mount Vernon. The Pilots, the winners here, 79-59. And MVNU shot 39 from the field, so not too terribly bad. 29 from three, so obviously you would have loved to see that number improve, especially under head coach Lauren Van Hoos. Mount Vernon really good at the free throw line, converting 12 out of 14 for 85%. Now this is a Lady Cougar team that is actually leading the Crossroads League in free throw percentage this year with 85%. The Bethel Lady Pilots are also second in that category, averaging 83% at the line. And actually the Lady Pilots and the Lady Cougars actually were dead even in terms of free throw percentage. 12 out of 14 for Mount Vernon for 85.7, 18 out of 21 for 85.7 for Bethel. So Bethel and Mount Vernon are the two leading free throw percentage teams in the whole entire league. So obviously really no surprise there. And now looking up stats for Mount Vernon, 15 points for Kylie Laubacher, 7 of 14 shooting, 3 rebounds plus an assist for her. Only 2 points for Olivia Skillings, but she did have 5 rebounds, 2 assists though. 14 points for Lily Shepard, 2 of 5 from downtown, 4 of 4 at the line with 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 rebound. 8 points for Angela Roshak. Now 4 out of those 8 were at the free throw line though. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Only 6 points for Anna Swisshelm. Now 4 of those were at the free throw line. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal for her. And off the bench, you had 11 points for Melody Bluebaugh. 4 of 6 shooting, 3 of 5 of that was from beyond the arc. 3 rebounds plus an assist. And then you had Abigail Hardwick with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal though. And then only 3 points for Naomi Kai, but she did have 2 rebounds plus an assist. And then for an MVNU though, 23 turnovers, and Bethel converted that into 19 points. So that's obviously the major difference in this game. The Pilots only turning the ball over 13 times. And then for the Pilots, boy, Mariah Claywell, the senior guard/forward, just went off. 28 points for Claywell, 10 of 15 shooting, 7 of 9 at the line, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block. 7 points for Isabella No, off 3 of 5 shooting, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, plus 1 steal. 13 points for Isabel Scales, 3 of 3 from the line, 5 of 10 shooting, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal. 14 points for Olivia Nickerson, off 4 of 11 shooting, 4 of 10 of that was from downtown. Nickerson with 2 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal. 11 points for Jasmine Smith, 4 of 7 shooting, 3 of 3 from downtown, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And off the bench, you had Hannah Ruddle with a rebound in 13 minutes of action. You also had Justice Williams with 4 points, plus a steal and a rebound. Love Rain Gaskins with an assist plus a steal. And then Dominique Stilley, 2 points. Both of those were at the line. 2 assists, 1 rebound. And the Pilots shot 45 from the field, so way better. Better from 3 at 35. And then I alluded to the free throw percentage being pretty even. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Goshen, Indiana, where Spring Arbor visited the Maple Leafs, and Spring Arbor, no problem here, 72-44 on the year, and the Cougars forced the Maple Leafs into 27 turnovers, and Spring Arbor on the year has been forcing their opponents into 25 turnovers, so really no surprise here. And for the Cougars, they had some really good scoring, led by Haven Chapman, 15 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 2 at the line, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. 5 points for Elena Kulesa with 9 rebounds. 13 points for Megan Seitz. Now, 6 of the 13 were at the free throw line, though. 6 rebounds plus an assist, a steal, and a block for her. Only 3 points for Emma Smyska with 2 steals, 1 assist, and 3 rebounds. And then 12 points for Ashley Weller off 4 of 7 shooting, 3 of 3 at the line. She also had 2 steals, 1 block. And then off the bench, you had Elena Blumberg, 8 points, 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 of that was from beyond the arc. And she had a steal, though. Lexi Linder, 3 points off the bench, 3 rebounds, plus 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. 4 points each for Rachel Reichard with 1 assist, 1 block, 2 rebounds. Rylan Goodwin, the same thing, 4 points. 2 of those were at the line, though, with 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 rebounds. And then you also had Aubrey Crockett, 3 points off the bench with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. And Kylie Summer off the bench in 4 minutes of action with a rebound. And the Cougars shot 41 from the field, 27 from 3. Not pretty, I guess, okay at the line, converting 16 out of 23 for 69%. The Maple Leafs converted 11 out of 16 at the line for 68, so pretty even there. And the Maple Leafs shot worse from the field at 31, way worse from 3 at 21. Now, a couple of bright spots for Goshen was Ava Egoff, 20 points, 6 of 15 shooting, 7 of 10 at the line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Only 2 points for Lillian Null, but she did have 6 rebounds, 2 assists, though. 8 points for Neiza Goss with 6 rebounds, 2 steals. And you had 5 points for Kyla Foster, but she did have 10 rebounds, though, plus 2 assists, 3 steals. And then you had Lucia Luke Morales with 5 rebounds and 1 steal. And then off the bench, you had Ziane Finesse, 9 points off 3 of 3 shooting in just 10 minutes of action with 1 steal. And then you had Kyla Smith with 1 rebound. And then you had Sarah Elfrey with 3 rebounds, and then so you had three rebounds for Elfrey, and then Carrie Heiler did get some playing time, but she did not score in 12 minutes of action. And that was your matchup there. But next matchup takes us to Huntington, Indiana, where receiving votes Huntington played receiving votes Taylor, and Huntington, the winners here in a massive game, 70-67. Boy, what a barn burner that was. And what's crazy for Huntington is they're doing this without Bailey Kellum and Kendall Yoakum. So just absolutely amazing for what Darby Maggard and company have done with her team. And Casey Warfel leading the way with 15 points for the Trojans, 7 of 15 shooting, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, 1 block. 9 points for Maddie Allen with 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, so almost a double-double for her. 8 points for Quinn Kelly, 4 of 8 shooting, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, so somebody else almost had another double-double. 9 points for Selena Blount, all 3 of 8 shooting, 3 of 3 at the line, 2 assists and 2 rebounds, though. Emma Foll, 6 points, 3 assists, and then off the bench, Kendall Seitzema, 6 points with 3 rebounds. And then you had Marissa Trout, 4 points, which was all at the line with 2 rebounds. And then Emma Anselet off the bench. Boy, what a spark she was for head coach Cassie Wiseman and company. 10 points for Anselet in 27 minutes, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. The Trojans shot 38 from the field, 21 from 3. Really good at the free throw line, converting 8 out of 10 for 80%. And then you had Huntington shooting 39 from the field, so pretty even there. The difference was the 3-point shooting, only 21 for Taylor compared to 40 for Huntington, so that tells you all you need to know there. And Huntington, though, what almost did them in was the free throw percentage, 15 out of 24 for 62.5, so they missed 9 free throws, so really this game should not even have been this close. And boy, Huntington just filled the stat sheet, that's for sure. And boy, I mean, you talk about, getting a great player like Izzy Shepard back who tore her ACL her junior year of high school, and she just got back fully healthy a couple months ago, and boy, what a difference she's made off the bench. So starting with the starters for Huntington, you had Kendra Sheets with 18 points, 3 of 5 from downtown, 5 of 8 at the lines, 8 assists, 2 steals, 5 rebounds. 10 points for Annika Nelson with the game-winning steal, I might add. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block for her. Tegan Akers did not score, but she did have 1 steal, 5 rebounds, though. 13 points for Addie Shank with 10 rebounds, so a double-double for her. 4-4 at the line for Shank. 16 points for Liv Raby, 6 of that was at the line, 6 rebounds for her, 5 of 8 shooting from the floor, so really good numbers there. And Huntington, though, remaining perfect on their home floor this year at 9-0, so that's just absolutely amazing. And then I mentioned just a second ago, Izzy Shepard, man oh man, 13 points off the bench, 5 of 8 shooting, 3 of 4 of that was from beyond the arc, 3 steals, 3 assists for her. And then you had Peyton Hartsoe with 1 rebound and 7 minutes of action, and Lauren Merritt in 5 minutes of action did not score, but she did have 3 rebounds though, and that was your matchup there. And then the next matchup takes us to Indianapolis, Indiana, where number 5 Marion hosted number 7 St. Francis, and this was America's Game of the Week, and it lived up to that potential, no question about that. And St. Francis with the upset here, and this is the 2nd straight year that they have upset the Knights, so just absolutely amazing under head coach Jeremy Henney, what he's been able to do with his team. 56-46 the score here. Marion's defense holding St. Francis to 25 points below their season average in conference. And for St. Francis, they held Marion to 30 points under their season average in conference. So just an unbelievable defensive effort by the Cougars. The Cougars shot 38 from the field, 31 from 3, 10 of 16 at the line, converting 62.5. So obviously you would have loved to have seen those numbers improve a little bit, obviously. 14 turnovers for St. Francis compared to only 10 for Marion. Now Marion was way better at the free throw line, converting 9 out of 11 for 81%. Marion, though, way worse shooting at just 25% from the field, 15 from 3. So obviously that's really uncharacteristic for them, that is for sure. And looking at the stats for St. Francis, they were led by Callie Gregory. Really no surprise here. 16 points, 13 rebounds, so a double-double for her. 6 of 14 shooting, 2 of 6 from downtown. 2 of 2 at the line with 2 assists. And then you only had, and Isabella Gizzi only had 1 point, but she had 9 rebounds plus an assist and a steal. So she was a really, really good force on defense for St. Francis. 3 points for Julia Mantilla, but she did have 4 rebounds though. 15 points for Renna Schweiderman off 6 of 14 shooting, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Off the bench, Samaya Stout with 4 points, but she did have 1 rebound and a block though. And then you also had Emma Royston, 11 minutes of action with 3 points, 2 rebounds, and Abby Stoddard in 2 minutes of action had 1 rebound. And looking at stats for Marion, led by Abby McNally, who else? Just an unbelievable player. 11 points, 14 rebounds. She was 4 of 10 for shooting, but she was 3 of 3 at the charity stripe, and going in, she was only averaging 71% at the line, so obviously those numbers are going to improve, that is for sure. Only 5 points for Madison Bailey, but she did have 4 assists, 2 rebounds, and 2 blocks, though. 6 points for Taylor Double with 4 rebounds and a block. And Kenna Kirby was held scoreless, 0 of 7 shooting, but she did have 2 steals, an assist, and a rebound, though. And only 2 points for Kennedy Coleman, but she did have 4 rebounds plus a steal. And off the bench, you had Aubrey Frank in 2 minutes of action with a rebound. Kylie McNally, 4 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. And you had 2 points for Zoe Wheeler off the bench with an assist, 4 points for Eva Fisher off the bench. And the big spark for Marion, once again, Olivia Faust off the bench, 12 points for her. She did struggle shooting, but she was 2 of 2 at the line, and she had 7 rebounds. So obviously really good numbers there. And that was your matchup there. And the last matchup takes us to Marion, Indiana, where receiving votes Indiana Wesleyan faced off against Grace College, and Grace with the big upset here, 90-80. So, man, I was at this game, and obviously, being a big Wildcat fan, I was just, to be honest, just really disappointed and kind of frustrated, to be honest, because, IWU on the year was perfect when scoring 70 or more points, but for Grace, they had way too many players that got red-hot shooting, and sometimes that just happens to even the best of the best teams, no matter what division level you're at. And for head coach Dan Davis and his assistant Jake Anders, they got their first ever win in the all-time in program history, got their first ever win in Lucky Arena. So obviously this Lady Lancer team, I know their record doesn't indicate it, being 9-8 and now 1-6 in the conference, but they are way more talented than that. As this is a team that really, had it not been for injuries for them earlier in the year, this is a team that easily, by far, could have easily have been a 4 or a 5 seed. Now, there is a chance that they get up to that point, but the only way they will do that is if they run the table the rest of the way, and that is going to be really difficult to do because they still have to play the Big 5 teams once again. So it's going to be a big task for head coach Dan Davis and company, but man, what a win for them yesterday. And this was their first win against the Wildcats in 9 years, dating back to the 2016/2017 season. And also, that season was the last time that the Lady Wildcats have lost back-to-back home conference games. Of course, they lost last Saturday at home to Spring Arbor. They lost yesterday at home to Grace. So this is their, and believe it, and what's kind of crazy is that for Spring Arbor and Grace, both teams picked up their very first win in Lucky Arena. So that is just absolutely crazy to think about. Now, obviously, as competitive and super deep as the Crossroads League is this year, you know, all-time series, historical records, throw that out the window. In terms of, you know, in terms of home and away records, throw that out the window, because you're just seeing everybody be so competitive each and every year, and it just really doesn't matter, you know, with the rest of that. What matters is the talent that you have on your team and how much you are willing to work to put in the effort in order to be this good. And of course, I read Grace's recap story, and Coach Dan Davis, you know, he shared that, you know, credit Indiana Wesleyan, you know, they're still a really good team in the Crossroads. They're one of the all-time best ones. They're still a premier powerhouse school in the whole entire NAIA, and which again, you know, I really, you know, appreciate, you know, visiting coaches just, you know, respecting, you know, my favorite team and saying nothing but good things about them, because, you know, obviously for us, you know, being a big Wildcat fan, you know, yeah, we're having a down year. It's just not the kind of year that we wanted. Now, talent-wise, we still have an amazing, you know, amount of talent, but, you know, the struggles this year have just been turnovers, free throws, which were the two biggest things yesterday. 25 turnovers, an all-time season high, and sometimes, you know, things just don't go your way. But, you know, at least for the Wildcats, you know, now it's to the point to where, you know, the Wildcats are just trying to make the league tournament, which they definitely should. You know, they're probably looking more so along the lines of being I shouldn't say an 8 seed. I mean, I think conceivably Bethel could be an 8 seed at 5-13. I think that more than likely you're looking at a 6 or a 7 seed for the Wildcats. Now, is there a chance they get a top 5? Yes, but to me, I would not want to be a top 5 and have to go play Marion or St. Francis in the second round. But at the same time, you know, it's looking more so like there is the potential that Marion could be a 2 seed and St. Francis could be a 1 seed. So, you know, if that's the case for the Wildcats, you really want to be that 6 seed in the event Marion is 2, because I would not want to go play Marion at their place in the first round, because that would be a super tough matchup. Now, in terms of national tournament, you know, more than likely not going to happen this year for the Lady Wildcats, which would be the first year ever under head coach Ethan Whaley. But the one positive thing about that is, you know, moving forward, you just try to pick up as many wins as you can, build momentum going into the off season. You know, try to get some, you know, talent. I shouldn't say talent, but try to get, you know, a lot of transfer players. You know, which is obviously, I'm sure that is one of the goals that Coach Whaley has. You know, and just try to figure and sort everything out going into next season. You know, when they definitely should be way better. And going into next year, I think they're easily going to be a team that, you know, should be a top 4 or top 5 team next year. You probably are going to be looking somewhere along the lines at the worst 11-7, 12-6 in the conference. I would say that's probably a pretty fair estimate right now, based on the returning talent and of course for those that will be incoming. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all that plays out. And of course, moving, you know, this year it's just a down year. That happens, you know, but still the future is definitely bright for the Lady Wildcats, and being a huge fan of theirs for now the 4th straight season, you know, I'm really excited for the future that we have, you know, moving forward, you know, next year. And I have no doubt the Crossroads League is just going to be even more competitive in the next few years, and that is for sure, you know, and teams just really are not afraid to play the Wildcats in Lucky Arena anymore. You know, there was the past several years, you know, teams that are down towards the bottom, you know, probably, you know, down towards 6th to 10th, were like, oh yeah, you know, we're not really, you know, at that point, teams were probably like, well, why do we have to, you know, play the Wildcats again? And this year, as competitive and deep as the Crossroads League is, you know, you have these lower down teams this year that are like, yeah, you know, we know they're having a down year, so we're just going to play our tails off. And, and just, you know, come into Lucky Arena and have a really good chance at winning. And is that a bad thing? No, because, you know, obviously you want to win games no matter what team you are, but you know, I think you're really seeing that this year. Of course, my brother had made that comment, you know, coming home yesterday, and I totally agree with him on that. That, you know, teams are just really not afraid to play the Wildcats this year, no matter if teams are at the top of the standings or down at the very bottom. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. So, looking at stats, closing out this video yesterday, Grace didn't shoot the ball bad. 31 from the field, 34 from 3. They were really good at the free throw line, converting 32 out of 38 for 84. The Wildcats shot better from the field at 39, worse from 3 at 27, and way worse from the free throw line, converting 16 out of 27 for 59%. And the Wildcats on the year are averaging 73% at the line. Grace, on the other hand, only averaging 66 at the line, so kind of a flip-flop reversal there. And I alluded to the free throws. Grace turned the ball over 17 times. The Wildcats only scored, I believe, 10 points off of the 17 turnovers. So again, IWU getting outscored with points off turnovers. That is something that is really uncharacteristic of them. We've seen them score, you know, be really, really good at scoring in points off turnovers. And then looking at stats for Grace, 34 points. Emma Sperry, she just flat out went off. 12 of 30 from the floor, 6 of 18 from beyond the arc, 4-4 at the line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. 18 points for Morgan Houck. Now, 8 of those 18 were at the free throw line, though. 6 assists, 2 steals, 4 rebounds. 17 points for Maddie Pointer, 3 of 9 shooting, 3 of 7 from downtown, 8 of 10 at the line, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. 7 points for Becca Gert. Now, 5 of the 7 were at the free throw line, though. 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. 6 points for Braylon Terrell with 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block. And 7 points for Becca Gert off 5 of 6 at the line. So 5 of the 7 were at the line, though. She had, I alluded to, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. And then off the bench, Abby Ritzema with, you know, played 7 minutes. Molly Long played 2 minutes. Becca Longenbaugh, 23 minutes, had 3 points with 3 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. And then 5 points for Riley Wetz, which was all at the free throw line, though. 5 rebounds for her. The Wildcats, though, had really good productive scoring. Kylie Bettinger had a career-high 24 points, 6 of 11 from downtown. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and she definitely kept the Lady Wildcats in the game, no question about that. 11 points for Isla Krieger off 5 of 8 shooting with 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. 4 points for Mila Browning, 3 rebounds for her plus a steal. And then 10 points for Addie Hovey and 16 rebounds, so a double-double for her. And she also had 2 assists, though. And then her sister, Jade Hovey, with 5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, though. And then looking off the bench, you had Haley Amy, 3 points, 5 rebounds, and a steal. So really, really good numbers there. Only 2 points for Tori Thompson, but she did have 2 assists, though. And then you had Emily Mattingly, 12 points and 4 of 10 shooting, 4 of 5 at the line with 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 rebounds, and 9 points for Ellie Kelleher off 2 of 5 shooting. 2 of 3 of that was from downtown in just 9 minutes of action, so really, really good to see that. And she also had 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 rebounds. And that was your matchup there. And that concludes talking about all of the games from yesterday. And again, thanks so much for tuning in this video. I hope it was super helpful and informative to you. And if you did like this video, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those options helps me out greatly. I appreciate any feedback that you may provide me. And please subscribe to my channel. Please keep doing so. Keep sharing this with your friends, your family, anybody that you know. Thanks so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless.